If you've tried all the things, but you and your partner still end up in that same place after an argument, disconnected, resentful, discouraged, or all of the above, what I'm about to share with you today might be the missing piece that finally changes that pattern. When I start working with couples, I hear the same issues. If he would just stop doing XYZ, if she would just listen, we could just communicate better. And while those sound like different problems, the truth is most couples don't have 100 different arguments. What they have is the same argument 100 different ways. Think of it like a tree. The fights might look like different branches, but all those branches grow from the same root. Today, I'm going to tell you that root and share with you the simple 4-step process I created to help my private clients stop having the same fight 500 different ways. And make sure you around to the end because I'm going to share with you the number one mistake that couples make when they start identifying the root, because I don't want you to just know what to do. I want you to know how to do it successfully. So don't leave till the end. If you're like most couples I work with, you and your partner probably have a number of tiny arguments throughout the day. You might fight about the fact that they forgot to clean the kitchen again, or that they told the kids yes after you already told them no, or that they're on their phone at night instead of connecting with you. And you may even have each one of those arguments on the same day, maybe a couple of times a day. On the surface, they sound like totally different fights, and they often leave couples feeling discouraged and doomed. But in reality, they all grow from the same root. And when that argument is noticed, named, and nurtured in a specific way, those arguments start to fade. Because underneath it all, what you're really fighting about is, drumroll please, an unmet need. You said you'd clean the kitchen and you forgot again. You told the kids they could play on their computers before bed when we'd already agreed the answer was no. You spend more time looking at your phone than connecting with me. Each seems like a different argument, but they all connect back to the same unmet need. Maybe a need for consideration or a need to feel seen and heard. See how that works? Many arguments, same root. Many branches, same root. And the good news is, if you nurture the root, the arguments lose their power. When our needs go unmet or worse, get dismissed, it doesn't just create frustration. It creates disconnection. It creates resentment. It's another emotional cut. If you saw the last video, you know what that means. It's not the big moments that break us. It's the slow erosion, death by 1,000 cuts. I'll put that video link in the description. The hardest part, the very thing that could shift the argument, naming your needs, is often the thing you don't feel safe enough to say. Because let's be real, who wants to say, I just want to feel close to you in the middle of an argument? Or who wants to hear, I just want to be close to you when they're sitting in resentment and hurt? Not me. Does this resonate? Type yes in the comments. That's why I created the conflict containment method. 4-step process designed to help you contain those repeat arguments, uncover needs, and create emotional safety before it breaks your connection. Studies show that most recurring arguments are fueled by a few unmet needs. When couples address those needs with intention instead of reactivity, the entire dynamic starts to shift. Now, I call it the conflict containment method because when I work with couples, the tools I use in the beginning are simply to help my couples slow down and pause the pattern. Research shows that when couples slow down and isolate the real issue behind the fight rather than reacting in the moment, they're more likely to reduce emotional overwhelm and increase emotional safety, which we learned in the previous video, again, linked below, is required to create lasting change. All right, let's get to it. These are the 4 steps I teach my couples to help them contain arguments that hijack their connection. These 4 steps follow a storm metaphor because if you've been with me for a while, you know I love metaphors. They help us remember things easier. So, step 1, spot the storm zone. Identify 2 or 3 recurring storms or conflict topics that hijack your connection. These are the storm zones where things get rocky. This is important because, as we've uncovered, most fights aren't random or unique. Starting with 2 to 3 topics helps you pause the pattern and uncover the need easier than if you were to look at your relationship as a whole and say, what do we need in our relationship? It's easier to say, what do we need in that moment? Now, if you don't do this, you're going to keep reacting to surface level issues, reacting to the branches, and miss the deeper roots. So write down your top 2 to 3 recurring arguments. If you're curious about what your recurring fights say about your deeper dynamic, you can take my absolutely free Stable Misery Partnership Profile quiz. This quiz is going to help you pinpoint the exact pattern type that you and your partner fall into when stress shows up. You'll even receive emails from me that contain tiny experiments that you all can do that couples within your particular profile pattern can benefit from playing with. So I'm going to drop that in the description so you can take that after we finish this video. Step 2, choose one place to anchor down. Once you choose 2 to 3 topics, I invite you then to choose one of those conflicts to focus on first. This is important because when you try to fix everything at once, that just overwhelms the connection and each of you. When you go chasing each issue, you're just going to stay stuck in that cycle, trying to fix the kids, the kitchen, the connection. And ultimately change nothing. Research actually shows that starting small, renovating one conflict at a time, actually leads to more lasting change than trying to rebuild the entire house from scratch. Step 3, navigate the need once you choose your conflict. Okay. Identify one unmet need that is behind that particular argument. This is really important because fighting about chores, tone of voice, or phone usage or parenting styles is often masking something deeper. And naming the unmet need will help you get to that point. If you don't get to that deeper issue, the conflict, it'll just keep resurfacing in a new form that catches you when you don't have the capacity to deal with it. And then that leads you both into the same reactive spiral. So reflect on that conflict and ask, what's the need I feel arising in this moment? Okay. Research shows that unmet emotional needs, feeling unsupported, unheard, or unseen, are usually what's really at the center of reoccurring fights. So once you name that need, you're going to be able to have the power to minimize those. Step 4, plot your course forward. Make a simple plan to meet one need. Okay. And if you're not sure, you're like, I have like 25 needs written down. What? Just choose the one that's going to move the needle the most for you. Maybe you say something like, you know what? If we put down the phone before dinner and have a 5-minute conversation about our day, that's really going to help with my need for connection. I'll feel so much more connected to my partner, and that will take away much of the tension that usually follows us throughout bedtime routine. This is important because awareness alone doesn't shift patterns, intentional action does. Insight without action leads to more resentment in a partnership. So, I promised that I was going to share with you a bonus tip to help you avoid the number one mistake couples make when trying to introduce this method. But first, if you found this helpful, but you're still worried that you won't know how to name the need in a way that your partner will actually hear it, or uncover those patterns that keep hijacking your connection, or honestly, you're just tired of DIYing your way through this, that's what the relationship renovation is for. The relationship renovation is an experience I created. It's not a long-term program, not a one-off session. It hits that sweet spot of focused time with me plus follow-up support. Together, we'll slow things down, get clear on where breakdowns are happening and why, and co-create a plan that fits your personality and your real life responsibilities. Then after you've had some time to play and experiment with that plan, we'll meet again and we'll make any shifts that you need so you can feel more confident in your ability to navigate conflicts. If you're interested, I'll drop the link in the description. Here's the part that trips up even the most self-aware couples. You've decided to do the conflict containment method. And then you decide, I'm going to share this with my partner. You've noticed some patterns, you've uncovered the deeper need behind the recurring arguments. Maybe you felt a sense of clarity and hope for the first time in a long time. You're so excited to share what you've uncovered. You sit down next to your partner, walk them through the process, and it falls flat. They pull away, get defensive, maybe even shut down completely. Why? See, this is why I don't try things. It never works. That's not why. Even the best tool can backfire if introduced at the wrong time. Here's the tip. Don't bring up the conflict containment method, or any method for that matter, in the middle of or immediately after a fight, during a busy time, or when your partner's focused on something else. Wait for a low, tense moment, like when you both felt connected, on a walk, or after a shared laugh, right? Or during a time of day that's usually more relaxed, maybe during the weekend. That's when your partner is more open, when their nervous system is less likely to be in danger mode, because it's not just about what the method is, right? It's not just about the fact that, oh, I can never bring anything up with you. It's often about when and how you introduce it that determines whether it lands or gets rejected. So, in those low, tense moments, you might say, hey, I did this thing that I think can help our relationship and how we handle fights. When's a good time for me to show it to you? If you're wondering, okay, Dr. L, I'm starting to see the pattern and we're making a plan, but we've made plans before. How do we make this stick, especially when life gets stressful or we fall back into old habits? You're not alone. In the next video, we talk about what makes new relationship approaches fall apart and what you need to have in place to make them stick so that you don't keep sliding back into the same arguments. So click the link or the thumbnail to watch the next video. I'll see you next time.